All right, good morning. How's everybody doing? What's up? What's up? This is New Eric Gardner, and this is part 3 of the activation of Bio Char. So if you like the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel if you like the content. This is going to be the making of some fine active biochar. So I got one 2.5 pound bucket or gallon bucket, and what we're going to do is make some active biochar. So this has already been quenched, and if you remember from video 1 and 2, I made the biochar. I quenched the biochar, activating it slightly with some other different minerals, some bat guano. I didn't add any of the regular minerals that I add into it. I wanted to add that in once it's already been activated. I used some fish bone meal and some liquid humic acid. So if you remember that, so now this is what our finished product. You do want to wear gloves, because if not, the moisture in this is going to turn your hands black, and you'll be scrubbing your hands for a while. So that's the first step. We added that in. Sometimes, based on the moisture, and when I'm using larger pieces of biochar, I do like to go in reversed. So I do like to add in the worm castings. So the worm casting also coats the bigger pieces of biochar. But since we're using the fine, I'm fine with that. So I'm using 1 full cup, or it's not a cup, it's actually 24 ounces, 3/4 of a liter of what I would consider one of the best minerals that you can add to biochar, which is rock dust. So I'm just going to mix that in, kind of get a look at it, get a feel for it, and kind of go from there. And as you see, you just want to mix it in really good, get everything coated. That's what we're going to do. There's enough moisture in here. You do need the moisture. The moisture is going to help with actually turning this into active biochar. You don't want it to be dry and powdery. The moisture is going to help feed the bacteria and the microbes. And also the liquid in here is also the activation I did with using the liquid. So that's good. So I mixed in 24 ounces. And a rule of thumb is that you want to add in so if you have 4 parts biochar, you want to add 1 part of the rock dust. So I'm gonna add a little more rock dust in there. And the rock dust, it's good for your plants. It has a lot of essential elements in it that's good for the plant roots. And just understand that biochar isn't a fertilizer. It's a catalyst for fertilizer to kind of attach itself to, and for your roots, for all the bacteria and the microbes and the fungi. And then you're also adding organic matter into your soil. So that's mixed real good. So that looks good. Now, if you know, now I always add a little more of different minerals into it that's going to help the plants and things like that, and help the roots. And the microbes are actually going to feed off that. And usually what you would do is add the rock dust, add 1 part of the rock dust, and then also add flour. Flour acts as food for the microbes. It's going to start feeding on the rock dust, and that's what's going to also activate your biochar. But as you know, I like to add other minerals in. So, one thing I like to add in, always, I add it to my worm bedding. And the microbes love it, as the worms do, is kelp. Kelp is organic, so in keeping this in organic, all the fertilizers that I use in my garden are all organic fertilizer, natural fertilizers. I grow quite a bit of comfrey, and I actually use comfrey in my garden. I make comfrey tea. I chop it up and put it around certain plants, especially tomatoes and peppers. So you just want to mix that in. So that's what you want to get incorporated very, very well. So to add a little nitrogen to the mixture, and as we all know, there's hundreds of trace elements in the what I'm going to add next, which I'm going to add just a quarter of a cup, a third of a cup of alfalfa meal. And also, at the same time, I'm going to add some crab meal. And as we know, crab meal is high in chitin. And seeing that this is pretty much all what I would consider carbon, I'm going to add the rest of what I have, which is probably a third of a cup, so almost a half a cup. Just gonna fold those last two ingredients in. The chitin's also, well, the crab meal is also good for the roots, being down at the roots. So you just want to mix it in real good. And just get it incorporated into it. And you can see there's good moisture in it. That looks good. I get all of the corners, product from the corners, toss it in, mix it in really good. But that's what you come with. This is what you get. And that looks beautiful. So one of the other ingredients that you should add, which is about not 1 part, but probably about a half a part, is flour. And flour acts as food. So that was 1 cup of flour that I'm adding in. And I just want to mix that, incorporate that extremely well. And you'll notice when you're adding in the flour, you will feel the change in the texture of the biochar. You'll start to feel that it becomes a little more smoother, silky. Now we got a couple of pieces of you want to really mix that in really well. And the flour is very important because you need to feed the microbes that are in it. So you definitely want to add some type of food source. You can add molasses and things like that. But I find that the flour does much better. So I only added a cup. I usually would probably, with this amount, add about 2 cups. but I didn't have much flour, so I don't want to use all my wife's flour. I'm out of my flour. So, and with the flour, you can use any type of flour. Organic flour, you can use rice flour, bran flour. I usually use wheat flour. So, but I'm out of wheat flour. All right, so that's it. And the next thing you want to add is your worm castings. And the worm castings are also added to actually also activate it, because you have a lot of microbes in it from your worms. And what they've actually given you the goodness out of from their castings. So you definitely want to mix it in really good. Yeah, so that's pretty much the last step that you want to do, is add in the worm castings. And this is what you get. Active biochar. And you want to actually put it away. Put it in a bucket, put a top on it. Allow it to sit for at least 2 weeks. Check it. See how it's doing. You'll start to build a crust on it. And then you know the activity is starting to happen. Sometimes you might not see as much activity on the top, but if you start to turn it, you'll start to see all the fungi and all the bacteria that's starting to actually work in harmony and make this such a beautiful addition to your garden beds, your flower pots, and things like that. And usually if I'm going to use this particular form of it, I add it into my flower beds. I might only add, a scoop, a nice level scoop of it in my beds or in my flowers. When I plant my transplants, I may just use 1 handful of it and mix it in with the soil. And once you pull up your plants, let me tell you, I had some roots on some plants that were humongous. So it actually helps very, very well. So, all right, so that's the making of my fine active biochar. I'm gonna put it in a bucket, let it sit. And if you happen to purchase any biochar from me, just always remember, if you're not going to use it right away, you can store it in the bag it comes in, but take a pin or take something sharp, nothing too big, just something to poke some holes in the bag until you're ready to use it. Or open up a thumb hole on the top where the Ziploc is, just to allow some air, because it is alive. So you don't want to kill off the microbes. Keep it in a nice cool place. I keep mine in a closet in the basement. It's nice and cool. You're going to have moisture come off of it, so, and it'll just start to continue to grow. So I don't store it in bags until I actually have an order to place. So, but this is the active fine biochar. Give it a shot. It's not that hard to make. Don't get discouraged if you don't see. Kind of add your own ingredients as you like, but this is what you get. Active biochar. Alright, this is New Era Gardener. Thanks for watching. This is the last video for that. I probably will do some more videos on biochar.